Everyone loves a walk-off, and when you get one during the playoffs, that's just baseball heaven. Today, let's look at every team's last postseason walk-off, starting with the most recent and ending with the oldest. Texas Rangers, 2023 World Series Game 1. Arizona had the Rangers right where they wanted them, up 5-3 in the ninth, bringing on their dominant closer Paul Sewald, but he walked the leadoff batter and Corey Seager tied the game with a monster home run. That sent the game into extras, and in the 11th, after Arizona brought in Miguel Castro, Adolis Garcia went opposite field for the walk-off homer. Arizona Diamondbacks, 2023 NLCS Game 3. Down 2-0 in the series, Arizona was down 1-0 going to the 7th, and Lourdes Gurriel tied it off Ryan Kerkering. The bullpen kept the Phillies in check, and the offense mounted a rally off Craig Kimbrell, loading the bases, and Ketel Marte lined a single to center field, scoring Pavin Smith, and Arizona got that very important first win. Cleveland Guardians, 2022 ALDS Game 3. The series was tied 1-1, and when Harrison Bader took Sam Hentges deep in the 7th, that gave the Yankees a 2-run lead. Wandy Peralta tried to get the save, but after giving up 2 hits, Clark Schmidt came on, but he wasn't any better, giving up 2 hits in a run. Still, they had a lead with 2 outs, but Oscar Gonzalez got a single to center, driving in the tying and winning runs, winning the game, but in the end, losing the series. Houston Astros, 2022 ALDS Game 1. Justin Verlander didn't have it, and the Mariners jumped out to a 6-2 lead. In the 8th, they had a 7-3 lead, but Alex Bregman cut the lead in half with a home run, and Paul Sewald came on to get the save. He let 2 get on, but also got 2 outs, and the Mariners brought in Robbie Ray to face the lefty Yordan Alvarez. Bad idea. He crushed a 3-run walk-off homer, and the Astros went on to sweep. Atlanta Braves, 2021 NLCS Game 2. The Dodgers were on their way to tie the series, but the Braves rallied off Julio Urias to tie it in the 8th, and with 2 outs in the 9th, Brusdar Graterol was pulled for Kenley Jansen. With Dansby Swanson on second, Eddie Rosario lined a single past Corey Seager, and the Braves stole Game 2, on their way to an NL pennant. Boston Red Sox, 2021 ALDS Game 4. Facing elimination, the Rays found themselves down 5-0, but they chipped away, tying the game in the 8th. J.P. Feyereisen came in to pitch the 9th. Travis Shaw got a hit to put runners on first and third, and Kike Hernandez hit a deep fly ball to left. Danny Santana tagged up and scored, and the Red Sox were ALCS bound. Los Angeles Dodgers, 2021 NL Wildcard. This was a pitcher's duel, the Cardinals scoring 1 in the first, the Dodgers getting a run in the 4th, and this winner-take-all game was tied in the 9th. With 2 outs and a man on, Alex Reyes was brought in to face Chris Taylor, and he crushed a 2-run walk-off homer to left center, the Dodgers earning the right to play the Giants in the NLDS. Tampa Bay Rays, 2020 World Series Game 4. These teams traded blows over the first 7 innings, finding themselves tied at 6. Then, Corey Seager gave the Dodgers a lead going to the 9th. Kenley Jansen let 2 on but got 2 outs, and the very light-hitting Brett Phillips came to bat. Chaos would ensue. With 2 strikes, Phillips lined a single to center, tying the game. Chris Taylor's throw was off. Randy Arozarena tumbled. Will Smith missed it. And instead of being dead to rights, Arozarena scored, and the Rays tied the series at 2 apiece. St. Louis Cardinals, 2019 NLDS Game 4. Facing elimination, Yadier Molina drove in the tying run in the 8th, sending it to extras. There, Colton Wong doubled to lead off the 10th, and with 1 out, it was Yadier Molina again, getting the fly ball to left field. Wong coming in to score and forcing a Game 5 that St. Louis won easily. Milwaukee Brewers, 2018 NLDS Game 1. The Brewers used 4 pitchers to hold the Rockies scoreless over 8 innings, but the Rockies rallied to tie the game in the 9th. This went to extras, Adam Ottavino on the mound, and with 2 on and 2 outs, Mike Moustakas lined a single to right, leading to a Milwaukee sweep. San Francisco Giants, 2016 NLDS Game 3. Losing the first 2 games and facing elimination, the Giants rallied for 3 to take a 2-run lead in the 8th, but couldn't hold the lead in the 9th, Chris Bryant hitting a 2-run shot off Sergio Romo. This went into extras, and Mike Montgomery was starting his 5th inning in relief going into the 13th. He gave up a double to Brandon Crawford, then another to Joe Panik, and the Giants won their lone game in the series. Toronto Blue Jays, 2016 ALDS Game 3. After taking the first 2 games in Texas, the Jays were looking for a sweep. The game was tied after 6 and stayed that way into extra innings. Matt Bush was starting his 3rd inning, put 2 on with 1 out, and Russell Martin hit what looked like a double play ball, but the throw got away. Josh Donaldson was aggressive rounding 3rd, and he scored the series-winning run on the error. Kansas City Royals, 2015 World Series Game 1. The Royals were staring down a loss in Game 1, but Alex Gordon took Juris Familia out of the yard to tie it in the 9th. It stayed tied into the 14th. Bartolo Colon into his 3rd inning, but with the bases loaded and nobody out, Eric Hosmer hit a fly ball to right, Alcides Escobar scored, and the Royals were on their way to a championship. Oakland A's, 2013 ALDS Game 2. Sonny Gray and Justin Verlander dominated this game, scoreless into the 9th. Al Albuquerque loaded the bases, got pulled for Rick Porcello, but Stephen Vogt came up and singled to left, driving in Yoenis Cespedes, the A's tying the series at 1 apiece. Washington Nationals, 2012 NLDS Game 4. Facing elimination, the Nats got a great performance from Ross Detweiler, but the Cardinals got the same from Kyle Loesch. Tied at 1 apiece, Lance Lynn came in to pitch the 9th, but Jason Worth led off by landing a home run to left center. The Nats forcing a Game 5 they would lose in heartbreaking fashion. New York Yankees, 2012 ALDS Game 3. Tied at 1 apiece, the Orioles were in position to win, but here comes Raul Ibanez, taking Jim Johnson Yard in the 9th, tying it up. 3 innings later, it was Ibanez once again, this time against Brian Mattis, and he lined the game-winning homer, giving the Yankees a 2-1 series lead. Detroit Tigers, 2012 ALDS Game 2. Tommy Malone and Doug Fister pitched great. The game tied into the 7th, and the offenses woke up. They traded blows and ended up tied at 4 apiece going to the 9th. Grant Balfour loaded the bases, giving up a fly ball to Don Kelly. Omar Infante tagged up and scored, and the Tigers won the first 2 games of the ALDS. Philadelphia Phillies, 2009 NLCS Game 4. The Dodgers were on the cusp of tying the series at 2 apiece, taking a 4-3 lead to the 9th. Jonathan Broxton letting 2-1 but getting 2 outs, and Jimmy Rollins comes up and lines a double to right. Eric Bruntlett scoring easy, and Carlos Ruiz coming all the way from first base to score the winning run. The Phillies winning this series 2 days later in 5 games. Los Angeles Angels, 2009 ALCS Game 3. After losing the first 2 games, the Angels needed this one, and with a 4-3 lead in the 8th, Jorge Posada tied it up. This went into extras, and David Robertson got the first 2 outs of the 11th, but he got pulled for Alfredo Aceves. Howie Kendrick singled, and Jeff Mathis doubled him in from first base, the Angels playing their way back into the series. Colorado Rockies, 2007 NL Wildcard Tiebreaker. This was actually a regular season game, but it felt like a playoff game. This was 6-6 going to extras, and in the 13th, Scott Hairston gave the Padres a 2-run lead. Trevor Hoffman came in, but he was a mess. Double, triple, the game was tied, and Jamie Carroll lined one to right field. Matt Holliday tagged. He banged his face against the ground and never touched home, but he was called safe, and the Rockies started their run to the World Series. Chicago White Sox, 2005 World Series Game 2. This was a back-and-forth game. The Astros up 4-2 in the 7th. Paul Konerko hitting a grand slam to flip the score. Jose Vizcaino driving in 2 runs in the 9th to keep the Astros alive. But Brad Lidge came into the 9th. Scott Podsednik came to the plate, and he launched a walk-off homer to right center, leading the White Sox to a sweep. Miami Marlins, 2003 World Series Game 4. The Marlins needed to win. Down 2-1 at home, but up 3-1 in the 9th. Ugueth Urbina got 2 outs, but Ruben Sierra tripled in 2 runs to tie it up. It stayed tied into the 12th. Jeff Weaver facing Alex Gonzalez, and he lined one over the left field wall, tying the World Series at 2 apiece. New York Mets, 2000 NLDS Game 3. The Mets and Giants split the first 2 games, and they were tied at 2 going to extras. It went all the way to the 13th. Aaron Foltz on the mound, and Benny Agbayani hit a walk-off home run to left center field, leading the way to a 4-game series win. Seattle Mariners, 2000 ALDS Game 3. They had taken the first 2 games in Chicago, and they came home to a pitcher's duel. James Baldwin and Aaron Seeley giving up just 1 run. In the 9th, Keith Foulke on the mound. Runners on first and third. Carlos Guillen squared up this perfect bunt between first and second, walking off the White Sox and sweeping the series. Minnesota Twins, 1991 World Series Game 7. This is one of the most legendary games of all time. Smoltz versus Morris, scoreless after 9, but in the 10th, the Twins' offense came to life. Dan Gladden doubling off Alejandro Pena, sacrificed to third, 2 intentional walks, and with the bases loaded, Gene Larkin hit a deep fly to left. It fell in for the walk-off single to win the World Series. Cincinnati Reds, 1990 World Series Game 2. After crushing the A's in Game 1, the Reds were down in Game 2 but tied it in the 8th, this going to extras, and the Reds facing Dennis Eckersley. After 2 singles, Joe Oliver came up and got a hit of his own, a single to left driving in Billy Bates, helping the Reds to a sweep. San Diego Padres, 1984 NLCS Game 4. They had to win to stay alive, but the Cubs tied the game in the 8th. staying that way into the bottom of the ninth. Lee Smith was in for a second inning of work, and with 1 out and 1 on, Steve Garvey hit a walk-off home run, tying the series at 2, and the Padres would win the next night to capture their first pennant. Baltimore Orioles, 1979 ALCS, Game 1. The Orioles were heavy favorites, but they were tied at 3 after 9 in Game 1. John Montague was in his third inning, and with 2 on and 2 outs on an 0-2 count, John Lowenstein lifted one down the left field line, finding the seats, a 3-run walk-off bomb, and the Orioles would win in 4. Pittsburgh Pirates, 1960 World Series, Game 7. One of the more talked about World Series, the Yankees blasted the Pirates in their wins. The Pirates eked out their wins, and it came down to Game 7. Down 7-4 in the 8th, the Pirates scored 5, punctuated by Hal Smith's 3-run homer. The Pirates could have won it in the 9th, but the Yankees rallied for 2, tying the game at 9 going to the bottom of the 9th. Leading off the inning, Bill Mazeroski hit one over the wall against Ralph Terry, still the only walk-off home run in World Series Game 7 history. Chicago Cubs, 1945 World Series, Game 6. Down 3-2 in the series, the Cubs were cruising to the win. They were up 7-3 in the 8th, but the Tigers scored 4 runs and tied it, going to extras. In the 12th, Dizzy Trout into his 5th inning. Stan Hack lined one to left. It took a bad hop and got to the wall, and Bill Schuster came around to score. This forced the Game 7, but the Tigers won it easily. So there you go, every team's last playoff walk-off win. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, and if you're new here and love baseball content, please give me a sub. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.